Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And I am so freaking stoked today. I'm not going to say excited because you guys hear me say excited way too much. I'm stoked. I am fired up because I have Lee Myrter back. If you haven't heard the previous interview with Michelle Lee, go check the show notes. We're going to link directly to the previous episode with Michelle Lee so you can learn the basics of bank. Like, I think I called it like breaking the bank code or something like that. But this episode, we're going deeper. So in case you haven't heard Michelle Lee, or that episode was so long ago that you're like, I remember the idea of her, let me tell you who she is. Michelle Lee is an award-winning certified and licensed business coach, trainer, and international speaker who teaches people the art and the science of influence, giving people the tools, training, and system to make a bigger impact, increase income, and influence by up to, okay, listen carefully, 300% by using this scientifically validated bank, B-A-N-K, methodology. Michelle Lee, welcome back.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome. It's always great to be here with you.
Oh, I adore you. So, Michelle Lee, we've been talking bank literally for years. You are one of the speakers who has been on my summit. I think you've been on every summit I've done, because this is such an important thing, because a lot of people, me included, teach sales. And what's interesting is you don't. Right? You don't teach sales. We talk about it in that way because that's what people think they want to know. But you're actually talking about buying behavior. What got you into that?
Well, and it's to sum it up shortly, right? I was building a business from nothing. Actually, two of them. I had lost pretty much everything I owned and had to start over in my 40s, which was hard enough. So I was trying to build a brick and mortar plant, a food business, right? And I wasn't making any money there at all. And so I fell into direct sales, which I didn't even know what direct sales was at the time. And I was like, First I said no, and then I said yes. And interesting enough, that's how I fell into this methodology, because direct sales is a great business to be in if you know the secret of how to do it. And so many people go into it thinking that they're going to automatically get rich quick, right? Be on stage, they go to a conference and they're like, yes, that's me. I want to be there. But they're going through a process of playing that sales as a numbers game. And they're taking all the sales training, but they're missing the most important piece.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up where I am, because it actually took both of my businesses and skyrocketed my results. Because now, I mean, think about it. Imagine knowing someone's buying behavior, what drives a yes, what you want to avoid so you don't get a no, and where that would take your business.
Right. Yeah. And that's the bank code, which we talked about in the previous episode. So again, I'm going to redirect people there because we don't need to cover the whole thing again, but I wanted people to understand the results that you got. And I know the results that the gal who developed this system, what she got. I mean, she went from making $700 in a year in her sales business to a few years later doing her first $1 million year because she figured this out. That's freaking impressive.
Well, and that's the whole thing. So when she started this, right, before she started bank, she was pouring into all this, the personal development, all the sales training, all the things. And she was getting immediate results.
Right.
So she went from like $700 a year to like $72,000, right? And that's where she was like, wait, there has to be a better way. Either their system's broken or she thought she was broken because it was a struggle. But that's the same struggle I was having. Like, wait a second, I don't understand. Why does this feel like it's such a challenge?
Right.
I'd talk to somebody and then next thing you know, there they are with Karen down the street, a competition, and they're signing up on her team and being a rock star. And I'm like, why did she pick Karen? Like, how does that happen? Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
It happens every day.
Oh, I can tell you right now that that's something I experienced. That's something probably every person who's listening to this right now has experienced at one point or another where they were like, I was working that person to be on my team. Like I was working that relationship to try and get them on my team. How did they end up on his team or her team? How did that happen? Because this isn't just about buying. That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell you stories of people who were like, oh, I want to join your team, but I want to work with this person. I don't want to work with them. Imagine that. It all comes down to people's core values. What's driving their decision making, right? When you meet someone and you're aligned, all of a sudden it's easy. It doesn't matter if you spend 5 minutes with them. You're like, yes, let's go down and have some margaritas. I want to hang out with you. You're the best. And you meet somebody and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling it. I can't put my finger on it. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people are speaking different languages, right? Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and they sounded like Peanuts teacher and they're like, and all of a sudden you get that deer in headlights and you're like, I don't even know what we're talking about now.
Right.
Well, if you think of those different people and everybody's communicating in a different language, although we're all speaking English,
yeah,
then how can people connect if they're not wired the same way? If you figure out how they're wired and what language they speak, now all of a sudden everything shifts because they need different things to make that decision to say yes.
Whew. And this is the stuff that has been life-changing and altering for me because, you know, you and I've had this conversation. I've always been with the disc thing, right? And because the very same thing happens in disc, but that isn't about buying behavior. That's just about behavior in general.
So disc is based in psychology.
Right.
Bank is based in biology, BUI, the science of buying behavior. It doesn't matter if somebody's an introvert or an extrovert.
Right.
That doesn't tell you why they buy.
Mm-hmm. Truth.
So when you look at someone's disc profile and their bank code, it can be completely different than. So if you have the same disc okay, I'll give you an example. My friend, big on disc, her and her husband, she's like, oh, we're the same. Our disc profile's the same. I said, fascinating. His code. So she's like, oh, no, I know we're the same. So she was taking a coaching program and the girl told her, hey, you and your husband need to do something fun. So they went and played pickleball. They almost got divorced on the court. And I'm sitting here and she's telling me this story and I'm like, crack his code. So she does, right? She goes, oh my gosh. He was A-N-K-B. It's just like that.
Oh.
Put him on the court. His competition went off the chart.
Mm-hmm.
And his nurturing filter went away. So he became that AK-47. She was wrong with everything she did. He's yelling at her. He's like, you're stupid. Like all of a sudden, he became this, and she was blown. She was like, I didn't talk to him for 3 days. I said, I would have never told you guys to play pickleball.
Right.
There's a lot of other things that you could have done.
So was she not an A to start with for her bank code? Okay.
No, NK.
Oh,
A
yeah.
was her stress code.
And here he is in A.
And just it just became a nightmare. Right? But their disc profile was exactly the same. So they thought all these years they've been married that they were exactly the same. And they've been having all these issues with communication and how they were showing up. And it came down to the fact that they were just speaking a different language.
That's fascinating. Fascinating. So with all of this, for the person who's listening right now, they go crack their code. How do they then figure out the codes of other people?
So we have different ways. The best way is to have someone crack their own code, right?
Sure.
So there's a link that they can get access to where they can actually crack that person's code, put it on their calendar link, whatever. And then they're able to that person gets a free report. Like they'll get a free report all about them. And then on their end, they would get that sales and profile report on exactly how to communicate with them, what to stay away from. And then in person, there's cards. So we sell the cards so that people can take them to networking events, take them to the conferences, take them to their team and crack their team's code so that they're able to not only predict buying behavior, but also they give them the ability to know what's going to motivate their team.
Mm-hmm.
How can they recruit more team members? How can they take what they've learned and really grow it faster? The results are going to be faster. They're going to connect faster. They're going to have that piece that was the missing link. So when I got recruited, the first day I was out. I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. No, I thought this was going to be easy. Like, I don't got to do a whole lot of that. Right? So the person who signed me up, all of a sudden they were data dump. Information, links, calls. You got to be on this call. You got to do this call. All of these things. And I was like, oh, no way. Not happening. If it weren't for the fact that I had gotten a check a few days later in the mail, I would have not continued. Because I was like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was just so much information. I mean, it was emails, then there was text messages, then there was Facebook messages. Like they were hitting me from all ends. And I was like, what is happening? Why are you doing this to me?
Right?
But when you look at the different information that people need, typically everything's systematic. Here's what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what you need to send your new team member. Here's what you need to do to get started. And so if their personality and their buying behavior isn't set up in that same way, it's automatically going to turn them off.
Right. Oh, well, that explains a lot because with a 90% turnover rate in the industry, and there's four initial styles, right? But then those various combinations lead to, if you've turned off not just the A in the person, but the N, if it's like you and me, that we start with A and N, if they jump immediately into the knowledge and here's all the things, blah,
right.
That explains a lot.
I wanted to buy something from someone the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I said, give me a link and how to pay you. I was so excited. 20-minute dissertation on the product, what it did, how it was grown. I mean, like, and I'm like this. I went from, can you send me the link and how to pay you? Because I know what's happening, right?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I get an email, it's 3 pages long. Like, it just kept going. And it had like scientific formulas, links to like, I was like, what in the hell is this? Like, I'm trying to give you a break here, but this is over the top. Now,
Right.
that being said, like people who have that high K piece are always right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They also know the smartest one in the room.
Right.
They needed all that information for them to say yes.
Yep.
So they're giving all that information because that's what they need. Same thing with an A, same thing with an N, same thing with a B, right?
Right.
And that combination really matters. So in my case, and in your case, that A, N,
Yeah.
right? We really got to like them. Yeah, we'll take opportunities like that. But if we don't like the person, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It
Right.
can make as much sense in the world as it's a no-brainer. Well, it is, but I don't like them. Right?
Mhm.
So,
Oh, yeah.
so it completely shuts you down.
I agree because I'm trying to think. There was a situation where it was like, yes, I need that service. I'm not hiring them to do it. Like, I will
Right?
find someone else, right? Because I am not having that person in my house. Mm-mm.
Exactly. Okay.
Will
So,
not.
so when you start to look at that and you start to look at not only what was the last no that you, right?
Mhm.
But what was the last no that you gave to someone and why?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
super
I went,
important.
yeah, I went to buy a car, right? So what do? I crack the guy's ear. And it's hysterical because we're in the car and he's like, let's take it for a test. I said, all right. We get in the car and he goes, it's risky. It's super risky. We need to get gas. I tell him what my code is. So he's trying as hard as he can to like bump up the action a bit, right? And he's like, can I run in and get the gas card really quick? And I was like, sure. So he runs in, he comes back out, drive down to the gas station. He fills up and I'm like, we're good. Like, I drove it enough. I know I want it. I like it. He goes, no, we have to take the test drive. I said, I don't want to take the test drive. We're good. I already drove it.
Right.
Just go back and get the paperwork done, right? And he was like, the test drive, it's a process that we have to go on. So get in the left lane and we can it's just going to go round. We'll be back in no time. It doesn't take time at all. And I was thinking, wow, your blueprint is just off the chart. It's a lot of fun. And so I did it. Just, I was like, okay, you know what, Jimmy, we're gonna go ahead and take that test drive just for you. But I was already sold on the car
Right.
before we even like pulled into the gas station.
Oh my gosh. That just blows my mind. Because when I hear yes from somebody, I'm like, okay, here's the link, here's the thing, do the thing, and let's go. You know?
Right.
I'm done. Like they said yes. Let's get to the next step, right?
But a lot of different codes
Mm-hmm.
can't stop at that yes and give them what they need to pay. They end up talking them out of the sale.
Oh yeah. Been there. Yeah.
I can't, there's been so many people who've talked me out of buying something.
Mhm.
A's want to buy quickly and they want an easy process.
Yep.
But the other codes, they don't understand that. Like, well, wait, what do you mean? You said yes. You need more information. Don't you need to know all the credentials?
Mm-mm.
But do you know what I mean? So it's difficult. And people are like, well, like, so an A with that high action piece, what it's interesting when people go through the bank training too, because it's not just the words you use.
Right.
It's your tone. It's literally learning how to speak a different language, except easier, right?
Yeah.
But somebody could sit here and say action words all day long. They could be like, there's an opportunity. We have a great direct sales business that you could make income from. And I'd be like, fascinating,
Snooze.
right? So when you're talking to that action person who's looking for those opportunities, like, we got to feel your passion.
Yeah.
If you're not excited about your own stuff, why should we be?
Amen.
And so that's one of the pieces where people have to look at like, wait, how am I showing up? Like sometimes the nurturing piece, when the nurturing's so high, they're just so loving and they don't want to ask for the sale. And they're so, I'm sharing, just sharing. Well, how much is it? Right? They can't even get the words out. They want everybody to like that. And the nurturing,
they couch, or they try to cushion it with, well, it's really expensive.
which they don't want to hear that. Like,
they think they're cushioning it, and all you're doing is pushing everybody away because your definition of expensive is different than others. Right? Anyway. So yes. Yeah. They won't even talk numbers, or if they do, and I'm going to put air quotes around the cushion it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then in the direct sales industry, when you look at the majority of people in there, it's a lot of ends.
Yes,
they're looking for that community and they want that friendship. But them recruiting people or making the sale is so difficult.
Right.
Because they want everybody to like them, and that gives them that terrified eye.
Yeah. Yeah. It holds them back. Big time. Big time. And so in all of this, when someone knows their code, so now they know their code, now they know someone else's code, how is it that they're learning how to interact with someone who's not their own code? How do they know this? How do they get to that place where they can do that effectively?
So we do offer the trainings for them. There's different portions, like they can do it on demand or they can come to a workshop that's virtual. There's so much support and training to learn the art and science of influence, the art and science of communication, the art and science of understanding people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got, we've got this whole, like it took me, 50 some years to get to the point where I was like, oh, wow, now I know what all those conversations and how badly they went.
Yeah.
Because it's eye-opening. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. So once those people go back and listen to the first episode who hadn't heard it, right, they're going to be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now that makes total sense, because if you have different buying personalities, they all need different information, but we just show up expecting everybody to understand us because we're all speaking English.
Yeah, right? Like that reminds me of about 15, 20 years ago. I'd be sitting around with my husband at the time and his friends, and they're all computer guys. Okay, literally that's their job, is they all do some version of IT. And we eventually figured out this thing that would happen is they'd get to talking about work, they'd get to talking about IT, and I would do one of two things. I'd either go, okay, I know everything that you guys just said was English, but I have no idea what you just said. Like, no clue. Like, yes, I understand the individual words, but put together in that way made zero sense to me, right? Because it was all that ITEs. Or I would do what you talked about earlier, which is the Charlie Brown's teacher, want. Like, they'd be, and I had my limit of computer and IT talk. And I'd be like, want. And they'd go, okay, we need to talk about some other nerdy thing. Because I had hit my limit. I was like, I can't listen to this anymore. And if you guys still want me in the room to hang out with you, we can't talk about that.
Well, and so, but that's exactly it. And that's how people are hearing each other when they're not aligned, right? So there was this friend of mine that she would come on and do a 30-second commercial on the network event, right? And every time she went on, I was like, I don't even know what she sells. Like, what is that? Right. And so she went through the training and fixed all of that. But it was months before I actually knew. I was like, something clicked and I was like, oh my God, I know what you do now. But I had no idea. Like, it was not, no one else would have known unless they were in that industry with that product, what it is that she sold. And I was like, wow. And she's super high K. She was an AKBN, I think. But
Yeah.
so it's so completely different language.
Wow.
Just like when people start talking about, systems and processes and spreadsheets, I glaze over. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun to me.
Right.
Just like with the stuff, I just wanted the stuff to make me look pretty. Like, I didn't need to know how it was made, grown, came from, like, certificate. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Just I just want to put it on my face and, see what happens. That was it.
Exactly. So people get their bank code. They get other people's bank code. They go through the training. What are some of the results that people who've gone through this with you, tell me a story of somebody that you've actually worked with through this process, and like where were they went before they were working with you? Where are they now? What are they accomplishing now that they know this and are utilizing it?
So I'll give you a couple examples. One client, she made more sales in November and December when she started going through this than she did the entire year. And she was on track to win an award, which she had been trying for years.
Wow.
Another client, colleague, he is in real estate. He went from a 36% conversion on buying and selling to 87%.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you look at the direct sales and the research on that, just on and I'll pull up just so I can give you the exact numbers because it's mind blowing on sales and recruiting. It is astronomical.
I believe it. I mean, just in some of what I've been doing with my own clients, because again, I'm teaching them sales and recruiting in the more typical way, and certainly from the help with the DISC perspective, it's helping, but it's the kind of results that Sherry was getting when she was taking sales and recruiting training.
Right.
Yes, it is awesome to see growth and progress, but when you're someone who wants to explode.
Yeah. And so when they did the research in the direct sales industry, it increased direct selling sales conversion by 86% and boosted recruitment by 190%.
Wow.
There's people who were the indirect sales that weren't making $100,000 a year that are making $1 million.
Nice. Because they get it. It's
a game changer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's easy. So that's the other piece. So with some of the other assessments and the reports, it's hard to implement. You need like a certification in discology.
DISC. Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, I got certified.
What it means. But with Bang, it's a simple system that's easy to understand, easy to start picking up on those clues of how do I tell who this person is? What if the magic is when you can shift and flow and dance inside the codes and meet them where they are 100% of the time. And now every person that comes in contact with you, you're making them matter.
It's huge. It's huge. Because even if they don't join your team, they still feel better connected to you, and they're more likely to send you other business. They're more likely to send you other clients. They're more likely to send you other people who might be good on your team.
Well, absolutely. So there's the referral piece. There's the customers. Why would they stay with you?
Yeah.
If they like you and they get you and they feel like you get them, they're going to be lifelong customers.
Yeah. That's huge, because a business cannot grow if you're not retaining the customers you have. If you are constantly going through that revolving door of new customers, new customers, new customers, new customers, new customers, new customers, and you're not keeping any of them, the growth can't happen.
Exactly.
Your team can't grow if you have new team member, new team member, new team member, and they're not staying any longer than 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months. If you are having to always get new, and you're not retaining them because they don't feel connected to you, no team growth.
Well, that's it. And think of how many people they recruit someone and they're so excited. They're like, yes, this is going to be the rock star I needed. And then they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, how could that be? Well, I would have been that person because somebody data docked on me.
I was just going to say that was you. I'm sure
Yeah.
the person who recruited you was like, yes. Because, man, I'm not kidding you. I think A and BKs are among the best to have on your team.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, every code is
Biased.
important. Every code is important. And every code can be a huge benefit to your team and helping your team grow.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
If you understand what's important to them and how they're wired, now all of a sudden you have leverage and you can say, okay, you know what, Betty, her code is BNAK. She loves to put events together. She loves to plan stuff. She's so organized. She cares about people. Let's put her in charge of our events.
Right.
Yeah. And then you can leverage that whole team. And now you have like a well-oiled machine.
I love this. Oh my gosh. All right. So now we've been talking about this. We're putting a link in the show notes so that people who are listening right now, the Badass crew, can go find out their own code. But you and I are actually doing something together at the end of August of 2023. Now, if you're listening to this later, check in with me or Michelle. I'm sure we will have something like this again. But this is for people who are listening in the month of August of 2023, because you and I are doing something together. Tell us about, or tell the Badass crew about what we're doing together.
Oh my gosh. So this is exciting, guys. It is a 2-day training. So it's 2 half days, 12 to 5 Eastern time. And it's going to not only dive deep into how can you communicate and get more sales, how can you understand those bank codes, and how to implement it in what you're doing. Everybody can take those workshops and they can learn all kinds of stuff. But if you don't learn how to implement it, it's just another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that is we're doing a special bonus pricing only for the Badass, $249.
That's insane. Because normally, how much do people pay to go to this?
$397.
Oh my gosh. So this is like half price.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are putting the link for the Badass crew to click in. It's in the show notes, so you can't screw it up. But it's going to be badassdirectsalesmastery.com/bank workshop. So the link is in the show notes, and we will have for you to go sign up through that link, and we will know that you are coming to the workshop through the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast, and use coupon code
Badass.
Of course. Duh. Coupon code Badass at checkout for that. So that way it will drop the price from the $397 to the $249. So you are getting to attend this 2 half-day event to learn how to implement your own bank code and learn how to use the bank codes of others to help them make an educated buying decision. I love this. This is fantabulous. I can't wait to do this. I am so excited to go through this myself.
It's going to be awesome.
I think it's, well, hello. Obviously, we just said it in stereo, so it must be true. That's great. So, Michelle Lee, if someone wants to connect with you, maybe between now and the workshop, how would you like them to connect with you?
Facebook. Facebook would be great.
Awesome. And as the Badass crew knows, we're putting her link to Facebook so you get the right Michelle Lee Myrter, Myrter, not murder as in So
That was good. That was good. I like the sound effect.
Well, you know, I have fun with it. That's part of my code, right? So we will have Michelle Lee's Facebook link so you can connect with her. Make sure you send her a message at the same time to say, hey, I heard you on the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast. So she knows to go ahead and connect with you. And, you might want to help her out and let her know what your bank code is, because then she's going to be able to interact with you in a way that feels comfortable for you. So
Absolutely.
it'll be fantastic, she said. So Michelle Lee, I love talking with you. I love working with you. And I'm so excited because I really feel like this is going to make a huge difference in a lot of people's businesses.
Absolutely. It is a game changer.
I am so excited to see where this goes. So Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Go check the show notes. And then stay tuned because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.